Hey, welcome everyone. Hey, before we get started, I just want to say thank you to one of our newest sponsors, and that's Emergo Academy. This just isn't another program. It's a life-changing brain first approach to recovery, and not really just in recovery, life itself. I mean, I've personally taken this training, and Dave and Susan Kenny are just phenomenal individuals, and they've done a lot of studying, and they understand a ton about how the brain works. And that's what I love about this. I was never really interested in doing any kind of coaching until I ran across these guys. And getting into the brain is something that we really all need to do because what I have just even recently learned, our brain, our subconscious is there to protect us. It stores data and it tells us stories. And these stories are stories that have happened throughout our whole life. And again, like I said, it's there to protect us, but also at the same time, it's really doing more damage than it is helping us because it makes us look at things in totally a wrong way. So, guys, if you guys are even interested in looking at not even being a coach, but if you are looking at being a coach, a crisis recovery coach, I highly, highly suggest getting a hold of Emergo Academy. That's EMERGO Academy. So emergoacademy.com. These guys will get you thinking differently, man. So Dave, Susan, I love you guys. Thank you for being a sponsor. Greatly appreciate it. So now to get in to our guest today. So our guest today is Chris Avery. And I met Chris a couple months ago. Chris actually had me as a guest on his podcast. Thank you so much, Chris. I greatly appreciate it.
Welcome.
Our friend Kim introduced us, and that's kind of how this friendship started. And Chris is one of those guys that, with a lot of my guests, that you meet, even though we've not met in person, I feel like I've known this guy the majority of my life. And really we only met through a podcast a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
today we're going to be talking about the magic is in the consistency. And I'm really excited to see where this thing goes. So Chris, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I,
Absolutely.
I, I do have a quick question for you. What does emergos mean? Do you know?
You know that I do, and it's not in my head because
Okay, no worries.
Dave talks about it a lot, and it
Okay,
still hasn't even really computed in my head. I guess I was so busy wrapped up in my training and wanting to learn all that stuff, I'm not paying attention to
no
that.
worries. I just
However, I know Emergo has to do with something inside here, if that
cool. I'm
makes
gonna
sense.
look it up after we get off. I'm just always intrigued by words and like what they mean and you know where the origin of them because I think it's so important. We miss a lot of understanding of things because we don't understand the origins and where they come from.
Yeah. And if you
I'll
look
check
up
that out.
emergoacademy.com, I'm pretty sure it says there on their website what Emergo means. Yeah.
Cool. That's a good idea. I will do that.
All right, man. So again, man, thank you so much for being here. And I'm looking forward to our conversation because we actually had to stop before we hit record because you and I was already starting to go into some deep stuff. It's like, whoa, whoa, let's pull back the reins. Let's save this for the show.
For sure. I love it. Thank you for having me on. I'm really appreciative and grateful. Want to just jump right into the magic is in the consistency?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually,
Absolutely.
let's
For
do
sure.
that. So, I mean, how do you look at that?
Yeah. So I look at it as making things so small, it's stupid not to do them. Most of us look at life and we go like, I want this big thing, whatever it is, big thing in business, great relationship. If it's doing your art, whatever it is, sobriety. And we go like, man, it just seems so daunting and so hard. And it does. And I don't know, like about you, when I got sober, it did seem daunting and hard. It seemed almost impossible for me at times. And then I realized through that experience and then through like I've been running for almost 4 years straight every day, right? Sick every day. My kid's born, my wife goes into contractions and starts to um, you know, work on giving birth for over 24 hours and we figure out a way to do it every day. And some people may judge me on that, but that's okay. But to me, I'm running 16 miles a day right now, but I want to emphasize that it started at a mile a day because it's do something so small that like when you go, before you go to bed, you laugh at yourself if you're not going to do it. Because to me, consistency is about doing something every day because who we become, we do things every day. With drugs, we did, well, most of us do those every day. and then slowly becomes our identity. It's like a drip. Like you can drink from a fire hose, but that's really difficult. But if you've ever seen like a little like gerbil in a cage and they have one of those little water drippers, it's like that. It's just little drips of dopamine, little drips of success, little drips of the new you. And when we go like, man, if I started at 16 miles, this run, I would have been done after day one because I ran so inconsistently at that point. But because I started it so small, every day I knew that if I walked, I could get a mile done in about 15 minutes. And if I ran, I could get it done somewhere between 7 and 10. And I thought, man, to myself personally, I thought, okay, everybody has 10 minutes in a day. You may not have like right now I run and it's 2.5 hours, 3 hours a day. So not everybody has that, nor would have I had that back when I started almost 4 years ago. But because I started so small, I could just drip. And I did that for 90 days, right? A mile for 90 days, 10 minutes a day, every day for 90 days. And when it's so easy because it seems so like ridiculous not to go outside for 10 minutes run, then it becomes this easy thing. And then you go like, oh, I can do that. Instead of saying like, oh man, sobriety so hard, or oh man, running for 3 hours straight, that's so hard. I can't do that. We start to like feed ourselves. I can't do it.
Hmm.
But when we do the 1 mile a day, the 10 minutes a day, we go like, I can do that. That's possible. I got 10 minutes somewhere in the day. I don't care. And if you're, if it's reading a book for you, if it's studying scriptures, if it's studying the big book, whatever it is, take it to the toilet with you. Those things are even easier, right? You can sit down on the toilet for 10 minutes and read a book.
Yeah.
So it's really to me like the magic is in the consistency because the magic is becoming who you want to be. And I don't know about you, but I told people, and I told myself way more than anybody else, man, I'm a drug addict, alcoholic. That's what I told myself all the time when I was trying to quit. Like, oh man, I can't quit. And so that struggle and that identity got deep seated in me. And to reverse those things, you have to do the same thing going out of the addiction, or for running, you have to do the same thing. And it's just these small little drifts. And so that's what I really think. That's the reason I think the magic is in the consistency is because anything we do consistently, that's who we become. And I heard this. We were. Have you ever hiked
No,
Timpanogos?
that one I haven't done.
Okay, so that's in Utah. If you're listening outside of Utah, but it's a mountain that most people climb, or a lot of people climb around here, and it's about I think a mile in elevation. And we were coming down it, and he just said, to me, most people look at like what I'm doing and they go like, oh, that's crazy. Like you just have to be amazing at something to do it that many days. And he said, really, what I think like greatness is doing like something good consistently. And then people look at you over years and go like, "Oh man, you're great." But you're not really great. You're just good at doing something consistently. And that makes you look great.
Yeah.
And so, the dedication to it and the determination. And to me, determination is all about like, no, I'll do it no matter what. I don't care. So I have some rules around the running, but like, I don't care if I have to go out at 11:59 p.m. because I have to start before midnight. So I have to start my miles before midnight. I've ran literally when my boy was born and my wife went into labor for over 24 hours. Um, I started my run. I left the hospital at 11:59 p.m. I walked out of the doors, they slid open, and I started my run. And that night I ran until about 3 o'clock in the morning because I was determined. And so like I think a determination of a mindset, and it comes from consistency, is like I'll do it no matter what. That's the reason it's so important to start so small with the 10 minutes. Then there's the like determination, then there's the dedication. And that means being able to focus on something for a long period of time to me. So when you're dedicated, you just go like, I'm gonna do this any day and I will find a way. And I'm not gonna lose focus and get caught up on like all the other things I have to do in life. And it's so important for how we're changing our identity, how we're working with our brain, as you brought up at Margot. Is that correct?
Emergo. Emergo.
Emergo. Okay, I knew I
Mhm.
was saying it wrong. Emergo, right? Like, and I almost think of Emergo as like immersion in something. when you want to really shift your view of the map, as we were talking about before we started the podcast, or view of the world, it's not a, and I've heard people say this, if you are you better off if you go to the gym for 20 minutes for 7 days in a row, or if you go for 140 minutes 1 day a week? And we all know that answer, right? It's the frequency of going to the gym
Mhm.
makes you feel like you're a person that goes to the gym and gets you really in shape. It's not the 1 hour or the 7 hours in 1 day. It's 7 hours over 7 days that really makes the best benefit. And most of us look at these big things and we go like, I just got to be so in it. I got to do it so hard. I got to do, and it becomes so hard because that's what we're feeding our brain. And then, for me, I go back to past evidence and I go like, every time I've done that, I failed. It's the reason
Mm.
I don't like the hustle and grind thing because people hustle and grind. And if let's just look at the words, like you grinding it against something just means there's massive resistance against you. Most people, unless you're just one of those very unique one percenters, don't really love grinding against something and have flowing resistance. We want something that's we're like the river, right? Like Bruce Lee says, like move like the water.
Yeah.
Like if you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. If you go look at a stream, like it moves the ground, it goes around things. It doesn't push through them. It looks for ease and flow. And we don't do that enough in our own life. We think if we just try harder, push harder, grind harder, hustle harder, get there.
Yeah.
And all that does is breaks us and beats us down. And then we wonder like why we're so worn out at the end of the day instead of like full excited energy.
Well, it's to elaborate on that, it's about enjoying this whole journey, right? Because when I first became a crisis and recovery coach, that was the thing I went back into my old self where I'm like, boom, 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 I'm gonna freaking go, 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 go. And it took me a
Yep.
little bit, and finally I had to pull back the reins and go, wait a minute. I said to myself the exact same thing that you said. Every time I've done this, I ran into a wall or I put my car in a ditch. It's like I just got to sit back and let things flow and allow them to go where the heck they're going to go. And to even step back a little further about, the slow drip. When I lost a 24-year career and I had lost myself, right? I was way out of shape, 198 pounds, double chin, couldn't see my toes if I looked down because my belly was so big. And, I was snorting cocaine and drinking every Friday and Saturday night for 8 years straight. And the only thing that I knew where to go back to was to go back into fitness. And
Mm.
I had got a mountain bike the Christmas before that, and I just jumped on that and just went around the block. That's all I did was just go around the block. It wore my ass out because I was out of shape. I was like,
Yeah.
I got off the bike. I was like, holy shit, my gosh, that was freaking hard. However, the next day I got up and I did it again. And the next day I got up and did it again. And here it is a couple months down the road. Next thing I know, I'm doing 3 miles. Then before I knew it, I'm doing 6 miles. Then before I knew it, I was doing 10 miles. And this is just on a mountain bike, just driving around the subdivision areas, right? Not up in the mountains, but just doing it. And then I decided to get back into the gym and start working out. And we lived at an apartment complex there, and I just started going down, and I just went like 3 days a week. I went Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Mm.
And I knew as long as I could stay consistent on it, and believe me, there were many freaking mornings I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm going down there. No way. Except I knew that if I did not, and I broke that cycle, I could fall right back into the same trap that I worked my ass off to get out of. And I kept going. And then before I knew it, I was going Monday through Friday. Now here it is 14 years later, 15 years later, I'm still waking up and going to the gym. And that slow drip is what started it. Because I think the mistake the majority of us make, Chris, is we do, right? We grind. We want to see results. Us humans, we want to see results like this. We want everything
Yep.
gratification like right now. And if we don't have it right now, I'm going to throw a fit, right?
Yep.
However, we don't enjoy the journey. We don't, this training that I'm doing now, even the guy that does the training, he's like, look, we're feeding you so much information. Don't beat yourself up if you're not getting it all because you're
Mm.
getting something. Just enjoy it.
Hmm.
Enjoy it. Relax. Have fun. Enjoy the ride. Everything will come to you when it's meant to come to you. Your brain will figure it out, right? So
Absolutely.
when we're not beating ourselves up, our brain does figure it out.
Absolutely. I love that. And one thing I have really learned from, from coaching people and growing a business is most people think I'm just gonna start this thing and it's just gonna go really well. And they just so because of that, they just go like, I'm gonna get out there and go after it. And I'm not promoting not going after it. I'm promoting having harmony in life. And from a person that is 40 something years old and had his first little girl kid when he was 37. Luckily, I say this luckily I was that old because I was not a great example, and I hope I'm a good example now, but I was not as good of an example as I am now as I was back then. And man, most of us are just waiting to get to that end thing, and most of us will destroy ourselves in the process. And I heard this lady say from stage one time, like the lesson is repeated, the lesson is learned.
Yeah.
And that impacted me so greatly because these are like if you're out there hustling and grinding and you're repeating the same cycle like we were for so long, like me and Al were for so long, it's okay. Like have grace for yourself and realize when you're listening to this, maybe you're hearing this message because it's certainly for you. And when you look at it, you go like, okay, I can hustle and grind, I can beat myself up and get to the outcome, or I can get to the outcome I want, but I can enjoy it. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean the journey is going to be easy. I'm going to be honest. Like I'm sure there's tough times, like you said, when you're getting up in the morning and you didn't want to get up in the morning. After 4 years of running every day, I would think like it's just the easiest thing. But there are certainly days where I just go like, man, 16 more miles. Like screw this. I just want to be done today. I need a day off. I just want to take a day off. Yet the journey is the most beautiful part because that's really we really learn everything about ourselves. It's where we have more faith and trust in God. Like without this journey, without the challenge times, I would not have the faith and trust and belief I have in Heavenly Father, right? In God. Because because of those trials. And we really want to like the reason we want to get to the outcome is because we get rid of the trials quickly. We just want to push through them, get
Yeah.
them done. I know they're coming. I know it's going to be hard, but if I just can get through it like super speed, it's almost like when you used to play. I don't know if you ever played Mario Kart, but you would hit Mario Kart and there'd be these little sections where you could hit, and it would speed you up. And you would, it's almost like life. We get into these things and we go like, if I could just get on little like hit this little pad thing, it'll just speed me up and shoot me straight to the end. And it just doesn't. It just grinds you down. And then the truth is because you get so ground down, you stop being consistent. Then you go back to the start and you start all over again. But when you're consistent, there's joy and harmony in your life. Like I love every day that I work from home and I go outside and I see my little girl and my little boy and that I get to play with them. And I get to play like most men get up, so many men I talk to and I they get up in the morning and they go to work and then they don't see their family at all in the morning. Then they come home at night and they see their family for a little bit before the kids go to bed. They eat some dinner and then a lot of them, excuse me, get on their phone or they start watching TV and they aren't greatly connected to their kids anyways. And man, I wake up almost every morning. I have breakfast with my kids. I get to hang out with them, enjoy them because each one of those pieces is business. Each one of those pieces is the journey. See, we get so caught up on one focused goal, running, business, whatever it is for you. And whoever's listening, like we all have that one thing that we're hyper focused on, which is great, but we can't let it become our whole thing. We can't let it become the whole journey. And so when we really take a step back, like people go like, "What do you do for business?" And I say like, "I play with my kids." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I play with my kids. I kiss my wife. Like I spend time with them. I run. I coach people because life to me is business." And there's a scripture, Roman 12, 11, 12, and it says, "Not slothful in business." And I always represent people to say like, people can take that as just straight out and say like that's business. But no, it's not softball is in business means whatever you're doing with your life, don't be fooling it. Get after it, have fun, right? And that is the point is like enjoy each step because if not, we get to the end. And have you ever read a book called Shoe Dog?
I have not.
Okay, it's from the guy creating Nike. Phil
Okay.
Knight is his name. Actually, it's blurred, but I have his signature on his Nike shoes behind me.
Oh,
Somebody
cool.
gave that to me as a gift. Yeah, it was one of the best gifts I've ever got. But at the end of the book, and he's not dead by any means, but at the end of the book, he goes, "My only regret out of any of this, and it's an amazing journey if you read it, is that he can't do it all over again." And that gives me goosebumps sharing that with you because I hope that's what we can all say about our life at the end. Is like my only regret to life is that we can't do it over again.
Yeah.
I can't pick up my little boy because he'll never be 9 months again. I can't pick up my little girl and play with her and play like Candyland with her today because she's, 25 and married and has her own kids. And I hustled through and I did through. I got the business, man. I got the success. I got sobriety. I got whatever it is. But if we're missing all the joys and the pieces along the way, man, we're missing something. And this summer I was running and I do not love running. So I hated running when I started this thing, and I love running now. I will say that. But I run during the summer, not the best like runner in the heat. So this summer, about midway through July, I'm running and I'm getting my miles in, and I'm running by down by the river. So blessed to be even running by a beautiful river. But I'm running down this river and I'm going across the bridge, and I just stop and I go like, man, there is this summer, next summer, and then in January 2027, we'll run the perimeter of America. So really, like this is really the last, 2 full summers that I'll have
Yeah.
of running. And I'll never, like most likely, I don't think I'm going to run 30 miles a day for 365 days straight around the perimeter again. Probably my wife will kill me. I will end up divorced. And so, this may be a once in a lifetime thing, but every day we live is a once in a lifetime thing. And that day when I slowed down, I went like, man, I don't even love running in the summer, but dang, I just got to stop and see this beautiful river and go like, it's hot out. Love it. These are one of my last 2 summers that I'll ever be running like this, I'm assuming in my life. And maybe there will be more. I don't know. But right now I'm just going to enjoy that these may be the last two. And Jim Rohn, do you know who Jim Rohn is?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Incredible guy. He's passed away, but he was a big personal development guy. And he was speaking on stage one time, and I heard he said, most of us go, I get to, let's just say I'm 41, okay? So let's just say I live until 80, and I can ski until I'm 80. And so I have 39 more years is what most of us say to go skiing. And he says, how often ski? And people are like, oh, like twice a year. It's like, oh, you don't have 39 more times, right? You don't have 39 more years, sorry. You have like 39 more times to go skiing if you do it once a year. And that puts it in perspective. Like most of us think, oh, we got so much of this. And it's like we have so little. And if we look at the times and put value to them, like if my family lives in Phoenix, I live in Utah. If I go back and see my parents are, 70 in their late 70s, early 80s. If I go back and see them and I go back once a year, like if they live another 5 years, I don't have 5 more years to see them. I have
No.
5 more times to see them.
Yeah.
And something about that just gives each moment more value. And it's not about the amount of time we'll be here, it's about the value we get from being here.
Yeah. It's what we give it. It's that journey, right? Enjoying that journey.
It is.
I hit
Yeah.
62 this year, Chris, and I was talking to somebody, I don't know, it's probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I mentioned, I said, I've lived more years than what I have left.
Mm.
And she's, I get emotional thinking about it because I mean, I just saw a notice yesterday on social media that somebody I went to high school with just passed away. Right. I've lost friends a couple years ago who did not get the opportunity to hit the age that we are at today. I'm grateful for that, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing things in a lot different way. I'm single and I cannot stand being freaking single. It just it's just really, really hard for me because I've not ever really had a long period of time without having someone in my life as a partner. This is the
Mhm.
longest I've ever gone. And my brain is playing those tricks with me, right? It's like, am I going to live the rest of my life alone, or am I going to have somebody to enjoy the rest of my journey with, however long that may be? And I'm hoping I
Mhm.
have somebody soon that I could enjoy the rest of this freaking journey with and continue to grow with, right? Someone who also wants to grow, where we help each other grow because of how we see life and what and how precious life really is. And going back to even talking about the river, you stick your finger in the water, you'll never touch that same drop of water ever again the rest of your life, ever, ever.
For sure.
This is how life is, right? Today we are given this gift and we enjoy it because tomorrow again is another gift and it's a totally different gift than what we had the day before. And as long as we
Absolutely.
can not allow our brains, and again, it takes time to get us there, to not allow that 3D world out there to ruin us and to turn us into something different or to get us to think differently. you know we start spreading more love and more kindness, and as we work on ourselves and enjoy ourselves a lot more too, and the people that we become. And you mentioned something about the lesson. I'm so huge on that because I went through so many things, the same things over and over and over. And I'm like, why do I continue? And all of us, I'm pretty sure all of us do this. Why do I continue to do this?
Yeah.
Why do I continue to do this? It's because that's our pattern. It feels comfortable for us to be there because we're so freaking afraid of doing something different because we don't know what the outcome is. At least we know what the outcome is,
Yeah.
but the outcome's driving us freaking crazy. But we're still willing to
Absolutely.
stay in the craziness instead of going, what can I do to get out of it? And what the decisions I've made the past couple years in my life, those things that I said, why do I keep stepping in the same pile of crap? I don't step
Yeah.
in the same pile of crap anymore because I chose to change and get out of it. And I learned the
Mm.
lesson behind it, right? God kept
Mhm.
giving me that same thing over and over and over again because I was not getting it. I wasn't getting it. I wasn't learning the lesson. And when we learn that lesson, God's going to give us another one. We're not done. Sometimes He give us multiple all at once, you know.
For sure.
However, again, it's those lessons. And I got to tell you something really incredible. So last week, I'm at my daughter's house, and my daughter's schedule is kind of crazy. So she goes, Dad, do you have time to take Lila to her soccer thing? And then right after that, can you bring her home? I'm like, yeah, I don't have freaking anything going on. So yeah, I'd be happy to. So my granddaughter and I were leaving and we're coming to my house. And we got in this conversation, Chris, about life's difficulties. Now, my granddaughter's 11. Okay. She's only 11. And I think I asked her, I'm like, so how do you feel about difficulties, sweetie? She goes, she didn't even stop and think about it, Chris. She goes, Papa, if we didn't have difficulties in our life, how would we ever learn? I'm going,
Mm.
holy crap. If I
Yeah.
would have known that at age 11,
For
my
sure. For sure.
hell. And
For
I'm
sure.
thinking, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. And I says, yeah, do you feel like we got to go through some darkness sometimes to find our light? And she goes, well, absolutely. Because she goes,
That's awesome.
we appreciate things better. And I'm going, I'm in my 60s and it's taken me from my mid 50s to now to figure this shit out. She's 11 and she's getting it.
Yeah. 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 For sure. That's
So
awesome.
I'm thinking maybe Eckhart Tolle is right, the new earth. And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of our youth nowadays, they're so much smarter, they're so much more intelligent. And I'm talking youth. I mean, I'm talking young, right?
Yeah.
They're really starting to open their eyes, and it seems like they're getting it. They're understanding things. And I feel and I hope and pray, which I'm pretty sure as long as things go the way they're supposed to go, they are the new earth, right? They are the new beginning of how life is supposed to be looked at and be so enjoyable. And we all have things happen to us. So many things happen to us. Chris, you wouldn't be the person you are today if you wouldn't have gone through the darkness you went through. I'm definitely not the person I am today if I wouldn't have lost a 24-year career, if I wouldn't have lost my leg, if I wouldn't have lost my past wife, if I wouldn't have gone through this, if I wouldn't have gone through that. So definitely, we cannot go back and do those things again because that's our starting points, right? To get us to where we are.
Yep.
Steve Jobs said it, and I'm sure you know this. You know, if we go back and connect the dots of our life backwards, you'll realize you're exactly where you're meant to be at this very moment. And I
Yep.
do that so many times. I go back and I connect those dots so many freaking times. I mean, at least once or twice a month. And I just keep going back and going, okay, this happened because this needed to happen to put me here. So this could put me here, and this could put me here, and this
Mhm.
could put me here. But when we're so busy focused on right now and then, right here now, we forget to see the stepping stones we had to step on to get us to this point.
Absolutely. I love that. I want to bounce off that because
Okay.
going back to the hustle and grind, I think this is really the trick, right? Stay real busy because you don't have time to slow down, right? Like one of the best things that running's given me is I go outside every day. I run every day for hours. That means I either listen to scriptures, I listen to nothing. Like in scriptures, I mean like somebody's like talking and explaining God to me better. I spend time just with no headphones. Like the first marathon I ever ran, I ran the whole time with like no headphones in, and people think that's insane. But it's one of my favorite ways to run now is with nothing in my ears.
But you was
Because
in your
most
head
of
though,
it,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah, I
interrupt you.
know.
You was in your head
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And so to me, it's like a lot of the beauty of life is slowing down. Turn off the TV, turn off the music, the headphones, sick. Like some of my favorite times because I have little kids, they don't care what we're doing. They just want to be together. Like we go out like during the, nice weather seasons, we lay on the grass, we just stare up at the sun, or we go to the park and we just play. And like as soon as you slow down, there's something beautiful that comes to life, and it gives you space to connect those dots. It gives you space to wonder about life and to wonder about yourself. And it's so easy to get caught up in the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I haven't lived in other countries, so I know people say like that's America, and maybe it is just America. I don't know. I'm not. I can't tell you that one way. What I can tell you though is when we can sit there and losing a leg, right? Like having shin splints for a straight year when I ran. Any of those things in the moment seem like suffering, but they're only suffering because we want to fight them, because we want them not to be, as you said, like, because that's not what we're used to. But like, I know the outcome of the way it used to be, even if it was worse, right? And there's a quote that I always love, and it says, people prefer known hells over unknown heavens. And I want to repeat that. People prefer known hells over unknown heavens.
People prefer.
Yeah, people prefer known hells over unknown heavens.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Known hells.
Because even if it's like worse than what we could have, we know it, so we want to keep it
So over known heavens.
over known heavens. Or sorry, over un preferred people prefer known hells over unknown heavens.
Over unknown heavens. Okay.
Yeah, because they don't know it's really heaven.
Oh, that is so good.
So profound. And,
Yes.
and to me, when I look at that, like that's the slow, like most of us think like if I just do more, if I just do more, if I keep constantly doing stuff. And a lot of us are afraid to slow down because we're afraid what we'll see when we look in the mirror. Like you said before the podcast, you said you are, one of the things they talk about in the retraining of the fly in the fly process is going into the mirror and like smile at yourself. And I was reading this article about people looking in the mirror and like the darkness of themselves and how our brain starts to twist our view of ourselves and starts to see like different faces and things like that. And most of us are afraid to slow down because we're afraid of what's inside.
Mm.
Yet when we slow down, we may find out what's inside. And sometimes it's going to be great, sometimes it's not. But the true beauty of it is is we get to start to process some of that. We get to start to accept it. Because you, as you said, like the Steve Jobs quote of, we can't connect the dots looking forward, but we can connect the dots looking backwards. And as you said, like everything was meant to be, and that's the reason we're like where we are, and we wouldn't be here without being who we are and the things we need to go through, even if they seem like darkness. And you realize that none of it's darkness. It's all light. It's all for your benefit. It's all happening as I heard somebody say, like God's not working, like things aren't happening to you, God's working through you. And these things are happening for a reason and a purpose. And when we learn to accept whatever we're going through, man, that transforms it. Then we can start to look for opportunity or like the gratefulness. Because I don't know about you, but I was molested as a kid, right? I had physical abuse in my past, and all those things I look back and I go like I'm grateful for all of them. And people go like that's really weird, and I go like it's only weird because you want to still fight that you were molested. You still fight that you were abused. You still want to fight that all the years that you lost drinking and doing drugs. And the truth is, the more we accept them and the more we go like, man, what opportunity and what gratefulness can I find in those? And once we do, then we can start to find solutions in our present moment to have the best life we want. But if we're all like this principle is whatever resists must persist. So if we're always resisting the past, it's still persisting in our mind. It's still
Yeah.
taking up space. It's still fighting us. We're still battling that demon in a sense. And I will say to me, the more you accept and you go more like, there's beauty in this. Like I went through this. And that's the reason I'm here where I am. Like if I look at now, if I didn't go through the past stuff, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. If I didn't have all those girls break up with me or me break up with them and all the relationships that I wanted to happen, work out in my life, if you're struggling with relationships right now and you're listening to this, like I want to say, good. I'm glad you're going through the struggle because that means that you're getting set up. It's a setup, right? It's they're not breaking you. They're God's remaking you. And when we understand that, there's power in it and there's empowerment in it. But if not, you're just the victim to it. And that's the beauty part of slowing down in the journey is you can start to go like, man, this is empowerment. Man, this thing happened because of this. Man, I needed that. Thank you, God, for that. Not like, oh my God, get me out of this situation. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Man, where can we go now? Because I've accepted it. I find opportunity and I'm grateful for it. It transforms. And this isn't just God. This isn't just some self-talk. This is biochemical change in your body.
Hmm.
When you get up in the morning, you go like, I'm grateful. It's a biochemical change than when you get up and go like, oh great, I got more stuff to do. Try it. Try it for 10 days. Give yourself 10 days. You can
Yeah.
you can you can screw up the rest of anybody can screw up the rest of their life if they want to continue in their old they can all go back to the known hells if they want. But try the unknown heavens of, man, I'm grateful, as you said, right? You started that process. I'm grateful. And you said you started 3 weeks ago. I'm grateful when I wake up. I'm grateful when I wake up. And as soon as you start that, it shifts a biochemical change in your body. You prime your brain. You prime your brain because your brain, the reticular activating system part of your brain, which if people don't know what that means, simple as like you see a car driving down the road and you've never seen it before, and then you see 20 of them in the next 2 days, and I
As
was
soon as
like,
you
oh,
buy
my
one,
brain. Yeah,
as soon as you
yeah,
buy
yeah,
one, you see them everywhere.
yeah, yeah. I'm a unique. I got this car. It's really cool. I'm really unique. And then you
Yeah.
see that everybody else bought one too. They're called Teslas now.
Yeah.
But anyways, anyway, and so to me, like we're priming. So if you've ever primed a pump, if you've ever gone to a farm or a well, you got to pump. You got to like crank this handle up and down, and then the water starts to flow through the pipes. And this is no different than your brain. When you get up in the morning, when you want to run and you're, speaking to yourself through it, you're creating this biochemical change and you're creating your reticular activating system to start looking for things. So me and my wife were in some real marriage trouble a couple ago. And we both have a little different perspective because we have different views of the map, as we talked about.
Hmm.
My view was that we were about ready to get divorced. Her view was just we were arguing a lot. So two different perspectives, but I'm going to give you mine because I'm on here and she's not. So,
Okay.
um, so, so when we were going through that, at some point I was still running, and so I got a lot of emotional like resiliency and emotional clarity and mental clarity from running. And so I came home one night, I was like, we got to start journaling. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, we got to start journaling every day. Again, every day. Consistency. And she goes like, okay. And I said, we're going to start to prime our brain, right? We're going to start to look for we're going to write down 1 to 3 things each day about each other. And it's something we love, we appreciate, we're grateful for, we're thankful for, like we admire or we're fond about. So it has on one of those categories, 1 to 3 things a day. And she's like, okay. So we started doing it. So I buy, these special journals. And when I say special, they said something cool on the front and they had paper inside so we could write. And so, we start to do this. And within almost a week, we went from arguing every day to, I'm not saying we don't have disagreements, but like marital bliss almost, where because we journaled this every day, because we started priming our brain. And if you think about it, if I know that I need to write something nice about my wife, 1 to 3 things at night, and we're going to dust them. So we write them down. After we write them down with each other, it takes about 10 minutes or less at night. We then read them to each other. So like, hey, babe, here's what I think about you. And then does the same thing back to me. She writes them down. And with that process, at in that time of that, even that first week, it just switched our marriage because we primed our brain that every day when I woke up, I knew I have to start like write something good about her. So my brain starts, the reticular activating kicks in and goes, you better start to like look for good things in your wife. Because before that, it was like us nitpicking
Yeah.
and us getting mad about stuff because our reticular activating system and our brain being primed was looking for the negative things. That's what we were feeding it, weeds, so we got more weeds. And just like in scriptures, you reap what you sow, right? Like, so there's sowing, which means just planting, and then there's the growth of the plant, and then you pick what you harvest
Yep.
and you eat that. And in Proverbs, I believe it's 18:21 says, we either speak life or death, and we eat the fruit thereof. Meaning, like, we speak whatever we speak to each other, we're either feeding you life or we're feeding you death. And then whatever one we love, we eat the fruit thereof. And so if we know that priming of the brain is to start to pick life and feed it to ourselves. Because now we start to go like, okay, start to look for the good things in my wife. And then we started writing them down, and then my brain would start to look for those every day. And when I say that, that's not about your wife if you're not married. That's about you. When you're listening to this podcast and you're going like, man, I need to think better myself. Yep, you do.
Yeah.
Write down 1 to 3 things. Prime your brain every day. Man,
It's
I'm
that
grateful.
drip, right? It's that drip.
It is a drip.
The
It
same drip. It's
absolutely
that
is.
same exact drip. And I love that you went that way, Chris, because um when you say those things at night, without us realizing it, our subconscious is gathering that stuff up. And I'd like our listeners who are hearing this, what is being said, something to pay attention to. Feel what you feel. If you get up in the morning, when you get up in the morning and you say, thank you for this day, I'm grateful, I'm full of gratitude, I love you, notice what you feel inside. Now, if you get up and try it, just try it. Get up and next
Right.
morning go, you're a freaking slob. What's wrong with you? I got all this stuff to do. Feel what's going on inside your body. So our body releases endorphins. Um, um, what's the other one? Endorphins and gosh, I just had it. Now I forgot it. Anyway, I'll think of it. It'll come to me. But you know, when we feed it the good stuff, we're our body's constantly feeding it to us, right? So when we are thinking negative thoughts, dopamine, we're getting that dopamine hit, even
Yep.
though we don't realize it, because our body knows, hey, with this feeling, it's given me some kind of gratitude in one way or another. I may not know it, but it's given me some kind of gratitude. So it's feeding you dopamine, right? Or endorphins. When you start changing that story, the maps, as we've talked about, and you're rechanging it and you question it. So one thing that I'm even doing now is when I have a negative thought in my head and I catch it, I'm going, okay, now I question. It's like, why am I thinking this way? Why did I just have that thought cross my mind? And it's taken me back to go, oh my hell, this happened to me 20 years ago. My brain's doing its job. It's protecting me and says, this is how I'm supposed to act when this happens.
Mhm.
I don't want to act this way. So it's time for me to change it. It's time for me to rewrite the new story. And it's like you said, you guys consistently are doing it, right? I'm now consistently writing in a journal myself. I just started doing this like a couple
Mm.
weeks ago. And sometimes I fall asleep in the chair. And then when I get up, I'm like, I'm just going to go straight to bed. Now, I just to make sure I hold myself accountable, I put that journal right next to me because now it's right. I have no excuse why I cannot pick up that book and open it up and write in it. Before I did because it was sitting on the table. I have my leg off. I have to have I do my crutches. It's like, I don't want to get up on my crutches and go into the table and sit down, turn on
Yeah.
the light. I'd rather just go right to bed. However, if it's right there and my leg's off, I have no excuse. And by doing this, it's like you're saying, we're retraining our brain to fire healthier neurotransmitters, healthier neurons to get us to that point where we are starting to plant flowers instead of the weeds and the
Absolutely.
nastiness, or like uh, Nightingale said, the thistles. We're not planting the nightingale thistles or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I love that. It
yeah.
and like I want to include this because I think this is so profound and something that's so simple when you understand it, and most people don't grab onto this. And I was coaching a group of 16 guys the other night, and we're just talking about, where they want to, what they really want to do, and serving a bigger mission, a bigger purpose, a bigger calling from God. And some of them are clear on what it is, some aren't, and we just get into this conversation towards the end, and I said, when you're creating a new identity for yourself, it feels like you're like tearing because your soul is advancing and your soul wants to be somewhere else where it's not. Right. And Jim Carrey says, like, depression is you playing a character in your life you no longer want to play. And to me, like, most of us are still playing an old character that we don't want to play because we're, again, the known hells are preferred over the unknown heavens. And when we were talking about this, I said, have any of you ever been in a really great relationship? And then like you got an urge and you just like, man, and you get in an argument and you're like, ooh, that kind of satisfies. Or, oh man, like life's going really well, but I got to go through like something hard, but like, oh, that satisfies me. And I said, like, that's your central nervous system. And the challenge is like the fight or flight kicks in. And most of us aren't aware of that. Like most stress and things like that is the fight or flight. Like I don't want to be here, right? Like, oh my goodness, my I got shin splits. I don't want this. I don't, or like, oh man, I got stress around finances. I have stress around relationship. I don't want that. Fight it. Because our central nervous system kicks in and it says you either fight or flight.
Mhm.
And as soon as that happens, for people that get I'm not going to say people in addiction. Anybody that gets used to something and they're doing something new, you're going to feel that uncomfortableness because the central nervous system kicks in and goes like, this isn't baseline. This isn't normal. We got to get the hell out of here.
Mhm.
I'll just use my like example. I used to watch a ton of TV, like way too much. Like every night I would watch TV. And so like it was an addiction. It really was. And when I would like not do it, like I would not do it, I get this like resistance of like, oh my goodness, I need it. I need to do it. I need to watch something, right? And my central nervous system would kick in, my body would react. And then when I slow down and acknowledge again, I accept it like, hey, my body's gonna feel this way. When I would be with my wife and we get in those arguments, my body get used to that, and then like that would be the normal baseline. That's the average status, state of status. And so you have to start to learn how to like slow down again, breathe through these things because the truth of the matter is your nervous system we think we like are controlling a lot of our actions, and our central nervous system is weighing in a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. And all of us, if we look at our central nervous system, we understand the fight or flight, we are doing something to satisfy that so we can get out of the fight or flight because we want to calm ourselves. And sometimes, and I mean this, having a peaceful relationship, if your brain identifies with relationships as chaos, having a peaceful relationship kicks in the fight or flight. That may seem like counterproductive, but it's not, because our body goes like, hey, the average and the normal relationship, we get in fights. So if you're not getting in fights and you feel uncomfortable, it's because your central nervous system says like we are out of like homeostasis, and a fight will get us back in homeostasis. And the more we can breathe and understand that and accept that and just be aware of it, just be the observer in it, there's true power in like calming ourselves down. That's the reason most of us are on the go, 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 hustle and grind. Because if we continue in that state, like at least we just feel normal. Because if we, like, again, the reason it's so tough for us to slow down, go look in the mirror, just slow down with our kids. I think one of the best things about having kids is it slows you down. Like you don't remember childhood, but you get to relive your childhood through your child to some level.
Yeah.
And I think there's beauty in that. And when we can slow down, then we can understand our central nervous system is is fluctuating our life a lot. And the more we become aware of the fight or flight or rest and digest, right, as the other way, peace, peace. But the more we can like program our brain to accept like peace is the way, then and that's part of like God for me, right? Is like part of it is understanding that biochemical change and going like, man, God is that. The trust, faith, and belief is not like there for no reason. It's there because that's how we are actually meant to live. And the more we can put away our phones at night, turn off the TV, spend time with each other, spend time in journaling, pondering, whatever it is, taking a walk, the more we can like slow down that system. And the more peace and trust and faith and belief we have in the way that it's meant to be, which is just slowing down, enjoying it, not rushing through it and killing ourselves to get to an end goal.
Yeah.
And there's such beauty in that, you know?
Oh, there's a ton of beauty because it puts us in that free state of mind. And when we're in that free state of mind, we're more creative too. Definitely more
Mm-hmm.
creative. And problem solving becomes a lot easier because we don't have all that racketry going on in our brains and getting hit from every flipping direction, taking these deep breaths and it makes a huge difference. I mean, everything you just said is I'm absorbing it in because this is stuff that I've been learning the past couple years, and it's
Yeah.
already made such a huge change in my life. And I mean, I've got a lot of years. I've got a lot of years of old damaged maps that I've got to get rid of.
For sure.
But again, it's enjoying that journey and it's enjoying of getting to that point where you want to be, you know. I was a guest on a podcast just a couple of days ago and the word perfection come up and this is something that I've learned in the training that, perfection just means you're in a place that you cannot improve upon. And I found that pretty interesting when I heard that because it's so right. You look at some of the greatest athletes out there, like, like a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan, you know, they never settled on perfection. They never said, I am the greatest and I don't have to work on my craft anymore. They were constantly working on their craft
Mm.
because they knew there was no such thing as a perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like our whole life is this way too. Some people they're comfortable just living life the way that it goes with them. And if it works for them,
Mm-hmm.
okay. However, I feel we're all here to progress, to learn, to get ourselves to where we can live in that free state of mind so we can enjoy life a lot more. And again, it doesn't mean that I like to use the word shitballs. It doesn't mean we're not going to get hit in the face with shitballs because we will, because
Yeah. Yeah.
again, that's our next stepping stone, right? That's our next lesson to work through to get us to where we can go, okay, how do I handle this? Why is this happening to me? And be able to work ourselves through it. And when we can work ourselves through it in a calmer mind, things seem to go through a lot quicker. It may not seem like it, which you've said a couple times during the show. It may not seem like it, but really,
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're going, "Oh my gosh, I made it past that! Holy cow, I didn't even realize that I had done that." It's amazing how just even with what I'm learning right now, it's amazing that we have the power to change whatever is in here. You know,
For
uh,
sure.
AA is a good example. I don't bash AA because AA has saved thousands and thousands of lives. Bill Wilson did a.
Absolutely.
I think there's some definitely a lot of spirituality in what he had written and things
Abs-
in there. Certain things I don't agree with is constantly getting up and saying that you're a drug and alcoholic when you haven't used in 5 years or a year or 10 years or 20 years. Another thing is I don't agree with you are powerless to drugs and alcohol. None of us are powerless.
Right.
None of us. We all have the ability to change whatever it is we want to change at any moment. And again, not go at it gung ho, use the drip system because you will find it gets you there quicker than going the gung ho.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like reference to people, it's like the people that just go gung ho are like the rocket ship. They shoot off really quick and they look excellent. It's amazing. And they're burning fuel like crazy, getting in the atmosphere, and then they just explode. And then they start over again. And I want to give some people just some takeaways. So if we're talking about this, few takeaways are one, make whatever you're working on so small, it just seems dumb not to act on it. Like that's the simplest way to get started. Remember that whatever you're doing, track it in some way. Like write it down, journal it. Because the more you journal it, the more you're priming your brain. So like one, make it small, two, track it somehow. Like I track my runs every day. Track and then you'll start to prime your brain. Decide and become like the observer. And it may sound weird, but I know like people like, oh, well, running's fast. Like I'm not fast. I'm consistent. And so don't worry about your speed. Worry about your frequency or your consistency. And to me, like even during running, it gives me such mental clarity, emotional like clarity and resilience because I have so much space and time. So give yourself space, like make it small, make it small, make it consistent, write it down, prime your brain. And then when you're out there, just give yourself space for clarity. And that's part of journaling too, is just that space for clarity. And once you see those four things and you do those four things, you'll really go like, man, I'm not powerless, as you said. Like that's the problem with saying you're powerless is something like that means it has control over you
Mm-hmm.
and it disempowers you. And we need to be empowered because so many of us are sitting around thinking, man, and some people don't want to make changes. And that's okay. You're not on my team, as I say. No disrespect. We're just not this. We're just not like I'm not above you or below you. We're just not on the same team, and that's okay. But for the people that want to make changes and are listening to this, and I'm assuming people who listen to your podcast because they want to make some changes, understand that you have the power. Understand that power does not mean that you have to do it all at once. That you need to slow down, observe your own thoughts, your own process, and start to do these four steps to create the system for you to feel empowered enough to do whatever you want in your life. And the last thing I'll just encourage people to do, because so many people say this, is I'll start tomorrow. And the great thing about the 10-minute or the small thing is the funny part I realized this years ago is like I wake up and I say like, oh, I'll start that tomorrow. And then wake up and tomorrow, it's not tomorrow, it's today. So I never get to tomorrow. And
Yeah.
that's a trick that your brain doesn't tell you that you're getting tricked, you're tricking yourself on. But if you look at it and you go like, I'm going to start today. And the great thing is when it's so small, it's easy to start today because you got 10 minutes. And if you don't have 10 minutes, call Al and he'll convince you you have 10 minutes because you do, because we all do. And that's the beauty of it. Is this isn't for the exceptional. This isn't for, and I'm going to go back to the quote that my friend said, like, doing something great is doing something good consistently. And if you are admiring anybody out there in the world that is doing great or amazing or incredible things, they started really small
Oh yeah.
and they got started today, not tomorrow. And they did it and they tracked it and they wrote it down and they started to shift the way they saw themselves. They started to shift the way they spoke to themselves and they started to build empowerment and belief in their brain. And then one day they woke up and they knew they were still just good. because they were along on the journey and they knew there was nothing excellent. There's nothing excellent about the way I'm running. It's just good. And people may look at it and go like, wow, that's amazing. 4 years of running 16 miles a day. It's not. Come on. I'll talk to you. Come talk to me for an hour. I'll share the real story with you. It's not. It's good, but it looks great from the outside.
Yeah,
And all of us can be good.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing all those. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
really
you.
good stuff.
Thanks for having me on.
No, Chris, thank you for being here, man. I hope we have a chance to meet in person, one
Yeah,
day.
too.
So yeah, we'll have to figure out a time and definitely make
Okay.
that happen. That's for sure.
I'd
So
love that.
again, thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing your knowledge and your journey and man, I wish you the best with everything that you are doing and
Thanks.
just want to say thank you again to all our listeners, all our guests, our past guests, our future guests. Thank you guys, especially to our listeners. You guys are the ones that's making this possible. It's hard to believe in March this thing will be going 5 years. I'm still in
Wow.
shock that I'm still doing this and I still enjoy doing it. I still love doing it and it's great. So if you know anyone who's interested in wanting to come on and share their story, again, it doesn't have to be about addiction. It could be about trauma, mental health. It could just be about life. I mean, we talked a lot about life today, right? It's just about retraining the
Absolutely.
brain and how to look at things differently, and we can't do it alone. And we have to have somebody, especially with a higher power, whatever that higher power is for you. We definitely have to look at something that's greater than us for sure. But when we do, he seems to put the right people in our life to help us along the journey. That's for sure. So we're going to end it as we do at the end of every show, guys. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.